Aloha! I had the honour of talking to personal brand and business strategist Pallas April. She works with women and men to find their authentic messaging in their business. We talked about fear and our own personal experiences with this. Plus, Pallas shared some strategies to get over it and move forward. She also shared some of her wisdom and insights on how she has continued to grow her passion purpose business. Plus, she kindly has offered 2 free videos plus downloadable PDF workbooks to guide you to figuring out your own personal message, your own passion, and your own strengths. So enjoy. Aloha everyone, it's Nik here. I am so pleased I have Pallas April on the line with me today, and I'm really excited because I love chatting to other people. I guess that some of you get sick of listening to me, so I love to bring on these really phenomenal entrepreneurs who I've connected with, and I love to share their journey so that you know that when you are heading into your journey or a new phase of life or a new business or whatever it is that you've decided to do and change in your life, you know that it's possible because you get to hear from real people. So Pallas is a personal brand and business strategist, and I am so honored to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me, Pallas.
I've been excited about this, Nicola, since I found out about what you did and I saw the overlap with what we do to help people. It just gets me excited to meet a kindred spirit.
Yeah, thank you. So do you want to tell our listeners or our watchers, I guess, what it is that you do in a nutshell?
Yes. So what I do is, I describe it this way, is helping people live lives on the outside that match who they are on the inside. Now, when you talk about the business side, people say, well, what does that have to do with me? And I spend a lot of time working on strategic messaging with people who want to have talking points, but I make them all go through the process of looking internally and discovering who they are, what they're best at, what their values and passions are. And then from that authentic space, then we start with the strategic messaging work and the communications work that I do to help them.
That's amazing, because I know that when you go into this entrepreneurial space or you start your own business, you actually quickly find out that it's not really about building a business, it's about working on yourself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's so true. and a lot of people wouldn't get into it if they recognize that, because it's such a journey, but it is a rewarding journey in the end, but it challenges you every step of the way.
Absolutely. There's no growth without stress. And I love that you are helping people really define who they are so that they're really bringing their authentic selves to their businesses or whatever they're doing.
Yeah, no, it's critical. I spent 20 years in the news business in the States, and so I did every job from behind the scenes to main anchor for the past 10, or the last 10, I should say. And what I discovered was the messages that really impacted the audience, whether they were coming from me as a news anchor or from the politicians who I was interviewing, had to be something that people trusted. Now, they couldn't tell you why they trusted it, but they could feel whether or not they could trust. And that's when I really drilled down to, what is it that's getting through? What is it that's making an impact? And I teach what I call strategic authenticity. So once you get that authenticity down, and so say I'm working with a politician and he's supporting a policy, I want to know why. Why are you choosing that policy? Is it something in your background, your life story that you want to share and see where the overlap is with your passions and your values? And that's why the policy means something? That's where the magic lies. And then if we can get to that authentic overlap, then we can start tweaking things and turning the volume up on, body language and nonverbal, and also getting specific about the words that they use. And hence we're back to the talking points there.
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. And I know that many entrepreneurs or business women, they struggle with that part of marketing themselves because they see so much. I hear so much about, everything I see is fake, and I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be in the game of being fake. And I'm like, and you help people find that voice.
Exactly. Well, and I so hear that, because it in the entrepreneurial space is one area, but I was in television news as a news anchor. And there's a picture that I have of myself and about 5 other anchors, and it's just like cookie cutter, all of us. And so the challenge for me was how to get past, the helmet hair and the news anchor wardrobe, and actually express who I was, what I was passionate about. And it was a challenge to figure out how to do that. And once I started to figure that out, then I said, other people need to know this, because there's so many of us, whether you're a stay-at-home mom or you're in a career that you've been doing and you're just put in a box. And I don't even say it's a box. I say, in fact, I challenge my clients to think of themselves as fancy chocolates. A lot of us wrap ourselves in this gold wrapper and we think, here we are, this is our candy coating and we're putting out this great face on the world, but it's just pasted on. It's just wrapped around us. And what it's essentially doing is hiding what's inside, the many layers, the flavors and textures that make people unique. And so that's what my model is a fancy chocolate.
Wow.
So that's what I tell people. What kind of fancy chocolate are you?
I love that, and just the unraveling of finding out what's actually inside, rather than, being popped in a box and in a wrapper. I completely understand.
Yeah, and it's so easy to do. The world seems to ask that of us. And so we have to sort of fight to say, no, wait a minute, this is who I am and this is how I'm going to express it. And so, as I said, that can be through words. It can be through how you dress. It can be many different ways, just the gestures that you use. So these are the things that I coach people on, are those, different ways of broadcasting their brand, essentially. But it's all based on this desire to peel away the layers that are hiding the true you inside.
I know, and I feel that. I mean, I know that from my own journey, that I was just like, there was a moment when I was in my job and I was like, who am I? I've actually got the job I completely love. I planned this to a T. I went and got my university degrees, and I had this job in mind, and I got it, and I have this perfect partner, and I live in the place I want to, but I was still like, I don't like myself because I don't know who I am.
I had that moment.
Yeah.
I came home from work one day and I put down my briefcase and I looked at my home, this beautiful home, again, 20 years working toward this. And I said, the life that I am leading on the outside, everything that people are seeing, or everything that they are seeing, doesn't match who I am on the inside. And it was this feeling of dissatisfaction, it's beyond imposter syndrome. It's almost the reverse of it. I used to have recurring dreams, and in those dreams, I would have a home and I'd open a door and there'd be an entire room or even an entire level of the home that was undiscovered, unknown, and needed renovation. And it was just my subconscious saying again and again, there are many parts of you that are just not getting the attention that they deserve. They're not being developed in this particular career. Not to say, and I think you would agree, that the career was a waste of time. There were so many valuable lessons that I learned that I'm now using to help other people. But I outgrew it. At that particular moment in time, everything in my body was saying, you have outgrown this. It is time to move on. And it was just figuring out how to move on. And that's what I did over the past 7 years. And that's now what I teach others to do.
Wonderful. And there was that feeling of being like not knowing yourself. Was that sort of the impetus to go, I really want to teach other people to know themselves and to thrive? Was that kind of how that all went here?
It was. Yeah. And I knew, for example, people will give you clues as to what you're particularly good at. And in my role as anchor, I would go out into the community and I would MC. And someone came up to me and said to me afterwards, you need to be a public speaker, not just sitting on that news desk in that box. She could see, she could sort of sense. And I said, okay, but how do I do that? Where do I begin? So I started with little baby steps in trying to actually train myself in this completely different craft. You'd think it was similar, and it is similar in some ways, but it's a new muscle. Reading a teleprompter, talking to a television camera, completely different than talking to a live audience. So baby steps. And then just getting clear in my head what I wanted to do. So I did a magic wand moment, I call it. And I sat down, at home, there's the dog, sat down and wrote down, I want to work from home. Perfect timing, actually. I want to be with my family. Yeah. I want to hold workshops and help women reinvent. I want to learn how to cook and get out in nature. And I just wrote it down not thinking, that's the key, just going with my heart and gut, and just making the intention clear. And once I made that intention clear, and I started saying it out loud, it took me 10 years. But it happened. And it happened because I sent the signals out there. My husband heard me. He got a job offer down in New Zealand. I came here, reset, actually got quiet, walked for miles in nature, and then decided, okay, this is how I'm moving forward. And then started with the personal development and the professional development mixed into one.
Wow, that's such a journey, and I think it's something that we can all relate to. And then also, I mean, actually, I had someone I was calling and talking to today who was going through this very process. She was like, I don't know, I don't think this is normal. I should have had this success by now. And I said, so how long have you been doing this for? She's like, a year. And I was like, okay. So I said, you actually might want to hop on this call. I'm about to have this call with Pallas today. And I think that you'd be really comforted to know that this journey is actually very normal. I mean, it took you, even though you had this vision, it took you 10 years. So what has what has kept you on it, really?
Passion, right? Passion. You know, people say, oh, you actually, when we were talking beforehand, you said, you know, what would be the one piece of advice that you would share with someone who wants to go into a passion business or create a passion business? And the one piece of advice is, I didn't jump off one horse and onto another. I kind of kept, you know, one leg in each area, television and then public speaking. And then this opportunity came up and we took it. And so I was able to leap off. But when I leapt off, there was a price. And the price was I walked away from a very successful job and a big paycheck and had to be willing to start over again. So you have to have passion if you're going to replace the paycheck with passion, at least at the start. Secondly, if you do need to keep working, and many people actually have to keep working in job A before they can create passion career B, it's amazing, and you know this, how much passion can fuel you. So I would spend all this time training after a 10-hour workday, or actually I should say before, because I did the nightly news, so I would get up in the morning early and I would work on speeches. But when you're actually in the flow and in the zone and doing what you're passionate about, energy comes. So it can be done. It is tiring, but it actually feeds on itself. So that's the one, you know, piece of advice is just take it baby step by baby step. Let the passion feed you and don't put an artificial date on it. Like it's going to have to succeed by here at this particular point, unless there's some sort of financial exigency. But like I said, if you've got job A and you're working on job B, then you should alleviate that financial strain.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you with that idea of passion. You have to come back to why you were so motivated and what gave you the inspiration to start with. You know, there was something in you which was calling you, and this is part of my work is what is calling you? What is telling you there is something more? And let's have a look what that means for you and where that path will take you.
And it's either, you know, you're having health issues, or you're getting snappy and irritable with people, or, you know, you actually have recurring dreams like I had that are sending you clues. I did a TEDx talk, and one of the, it's about leading an extraordinary life. And one of the things I talked about was looking for the signs, which sounds so ooby groovy, but there are signs out there. And sometimes it's a recurring dream, subconscious getting a message through. And just a sort of intuition. But the critical point is getting quiet enough. There's a favorite saying of mine that said she finally got quiet enough to hear her soul speak. And it's finding ways to get quiet. And for me, that can be a walk in the woods, which didn't happen often enough when I was anchoring. But now it's like taking a bubble bath, you know, and just sitting there and allowing myself to get quiet and literally see what bubbles up. Ideas and creativity and intuition. So it's tuning into that little quiet voice inside that's giving you the clear signal that you need to grow in this direction.
That's fantastic advice. And so many of us want to rush through life and keep busy. And there are things, you know, there's fuel to do that because there might be parts of our lives which aren't going so well and we don't want to address them, but we need to give ourselves that time to look at that so then we can actually find the thing which is going to light us up.
Yes, yes, yes. You are just preaching to the choir here. It's a breakthrough when you reach it. And to me, you know, I will sit down and I have a mountain of things to do, and I'm excited to do it. And I was excited in the news business when I started out. Things changed. The business model changed. I had children. They started to grow up. I wasn't seeing my children. So my priorities changed. And which is something I often, you know, when you're tapping into your values and passions, people do, like you were describing, reach this point in life. And for me, it was about 45. And they say, wait a minute, I was doing this. What changed? Well, priorities changed. Not that our values of our priorities changed. Not that our values changed, but at different times in our life, different things are more important. So contributing to community, maybe contributing to family comes higher at some point in your life. So, it's not a surprise, although it always feels like a surprise. But if we actually stay in tune with ourselves, we'll see how things are shifting and changing. And it might just be your intuition saying, okay, you've mastered this. You've done your 20 years in this. Let's try something new. Try a new challenge and see what else you have to contribute to the world in a different way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's so much fear about changing, especially in a career or business. You feel almost like you have to be tied in. I've committed all these years to being this person or this in this profession. And for me to start again is so scary. But I'm always saying to people, I'm like, if you let yourself, you are constantly changing, and we are made to grow and evolve. We have this unlimited potential as people.
Yes.
And so why would you cap that?
Because it's uncomfortable. Because, fear is uncomfortable. And when you're in that area and you're growing, it's just, you get this churning gut, and it's not a pleasant feeling. I was saying this to a client today, and I said, but that's the sign that you're growing. It's growing pains. So you're pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. That means that you're going to be uncomfortable. And we are absolutely wired to seek pleasure, not pain. So it's sort of going against our wiring to do that. And yet we are blessed with, most of us, the opportunity to choose our challenges and not be in survival mode. So we can choose to push past that comfort zone. But the key is, and I'm sort of giving away the whole TEDx talk here, but that's all cool, is that I say that can just be one little tiny step outside your comfort zone. You don't have to leave. So we make it so big. But changes can be little micro steps, little micro changes every day.
Absolutely. I used to be, in my former life, I worked as a fitness professional, I'll call it. I worked with children who had obesity, and we used to make changes, and they used to think, the changes, I can't make all those changes, it's too scary. And I'd be like, okay, all you have to do this week is add one more glass of water every day to your diet. And so it's so true with anything that just makes us feel so scary. Let's just start small and celebrate being small, and then when we've conquered that and that feels really comfortable and that's part of our new paradigm of being, then you take the next leap, the little step. Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes is Eleanor Roosevelt, and she said, do one thing each day that scares you. And that can be just the tiniest thing. If it's just picking up the phone and calling somebody that you haven't for a while, and you're feeling disconnected and embarrassed about, try it there. And little changes, you can trust yourself with change by going to a restaurant and ordering something different off the menu this time rather than the favorite thing. I think there's another joke that says the only change that you want is the change that comes out of the machine at the end after paying for a soda pop. Every other kind of change people are just, dead set against. But we have this cognitive control, and so we really can choose to do it, but not make it big and scary and awful. And one of the things that I was going to offer your viewers is a set of videos, free videos that I've done. And one of them is Embrace the Yuck, and the other one is Face the Fear, because these are themes that have run through. And I have to add that I've done the videos, I've written the videos, I've presented the videos, and then I get in that yucky place because I'm doing something that's challenging myself, and I immediately go, what's going on? And then I have to I go back and I read my videos and I remind myself, in the yuck, this is part of the growth. So, even those who are out there doing it have to remind themselves to drink the glass of water each day, or to embrace the yuck, or not be put off by the fear. It's a funny irony there.
Absolutely. You teach what you've just been through or you're going through. And
again and again and again.
Yeah, and I don't know, you will get this so much, but I get friends of mine going, you seem to just jump in and everything's really easy for you and there's no fear. I'm like, there is always fear. I've just learned how to manage it. And when you learn that and embrace that, things just flow for you a little bit easier.
It's so true. And this is what I deal with clients a lot. I go in and they say, but I can't because this voice in my head. And it really comes down to, as biological creatures, we don't need to beat ourselves up about those voices in our head. Fear is there for a very good reason, to protect us. But we, therefore, have to take control and say, I hear you, but you have registered your very logical complaint. And I have assessed the situation. There's nothing that is imminently dangerous right now. So let's pipe you down, put you on the shelf, and let those quieter voices bubble up. But it's like working out. It's having to go in and exercise that muscle and get stronger and stronger. And people say, but how can you do that? You obviously, right? Like you just said, you obviously have never done that. Well, I was an incredibly shy child. My mother would introduce me to people and I would look at my feet. My voice rarely rose above a whisper. And then we had to move to Saudi Arabia. And by we, my family moved, and I had to go to boarding school, and then I had to travel the world by myself at age 13. You can't afford to be shy then. So I I was forced to go out and speak up, make myself heard and seen and understood. And the more I did it, the stronger I felt and the better I felt. And then I realized, okay, the world's not going to always force me to do this. So I need to now choose to do this myself somehow. So I chose the news. I love words, and so that's clear. I like communicating, but this also had me go and confront people, which was hard. Yeah. Politicians who'd been accused of something and get them to answer a question. Yeah. And I thought the only way to get stronger is by continuing to challenge myself. So I just look for those challenges. And that doesn't mean that sometimes I'm not sitting there, just as you said, quaking in my boots. But the difference is that we just choose to do it anyway because we recognize we have a choice. It's the people who are struggling with not having the choice that I feel just compelled to help. I feel compelled to say, here's how you do it. If you're standing in the grocery store line next to me and I hear you say something that's keeping you from achieving your potential, I'm coaching you in the grocery store line. I'm just compelled to do it. So that's what I do and why I do it, and that's what fuels me to do this mission. Have 100,000 people make their lives pop. And that can be via watching the TEDx talk or watching the videos or watching this. And so that's why I was so excited to talk to you.
I love that because I'm obsessed with human potential. And I think that's just been ingrained with me. I'm just like, I've always had this little mind going, there's more, there's more, there's more. But the fear thing is such a huge one, and I've talked about this, and I can't wait to watch your videos. And don't worry, to everyone who's watching this, we'll post those in the comments after this, so you'll have access to those videos. And this fear is such a ceiling that when you're in it, sometimes there's no way to even see how you can break through it, and it's so debilitating. And I'm the same. This is why we're chatting, Pallas, because we are on the same mission. When I see people living in that box and they're trapped and I can see just all that fear, I'm like, no, hey, get out of this. Like, your life could be so kick-ass, and I want to teach you how to just break out of it and spread your wings. And it's so inspiring to hear what you're doing and the waves that you're making over in New Zealand and worldwide.
Well, and you're in Australia, and I feel like we're at a moment in time, especially among women. We are at a moment in time. People are starting to sit up and pay attention to our superpower, our intuition, what we have to say. We are starting to be seen and heard and valued. And so now I think this compulsion that you and I feel, we're not the only ones. There are women everywhere, all around the world saying, now is the time, go, go, go. And I was talking with a friend up in Auckland. I did a pop-up workshop there yesterday. And there were few people coming, and we were deciding, should we go ahead or not? We could go play for the day. And the two of us said, no, we're not going to go play for the day. We're going to do this because I think it's just in the air. It's the zeitgeist. And by joining forces, by sharing the message that you have to share, and by inviting me so kindly on your show, we're creating a tribe of women, wise women who are supporting one another to get past those challenges. Because as a gender, and the gender fluid among us are included in that, we have power that we've left unclaimed. And so, my idea is, let's learn how to articulate this. So my bonbon model, as I call it, the chocolate, I take you through the different layers, the candy coating, the crunch, which is your life experience, the substance, and then the ooey groovy caramel, that's your passions and values. And then at the core is your strength. And how many women do I know who have not recognized what's at their core? So they're walking around with this pasted smile on their face saying everything's fine, hollow at the center. you cannot move forward if you're hollow at the center. So step by step, I help people find the words to identify what's in there, because we don't even know where to start, and then start weaving those words into the messages that we send and share with the world. And it's amazing. A woman came up to me yesterday and she said, I'm cast as supporting someone else. Oh, you help so and so do this. And she has this incredible background where she's set up events for rock stars and pop stars in the UK. And I said, one thing you can say is when someone meets you and they say, oh, you're so-and-so, you can say, yes, I'm Natalie or whatever my name is. And I am passionate about helping create events that are once in a lifetime, whether you're a pop star or it's a 16-year-old birthday. But I do it because I want to create cherished memories. And yes, I've helped so-and-so, But if you get directly into what you're passionate about, and you know the words, the very specific words you can use, you are casting yourself in a completely different light and empowering yourself. It's like a perception problem. You're correcting the other perception that other people have of you, but you're also correcting the perception you have of yourself. And it takes work, and it takes a method, and it takes finding those particular words. So I can't tell you how I felt when my co-creator, because I did this with my she was sort of the co-founder of the company that I had at the time. We sat in my kitchen and we were talking about, okay, we can talk about the layers of personality, and people say an onion, but who wants to talk about onions all day?
Yeah.
And besides that, okay, yes, they have an outer layer, fair enough, but on the inside, it's all the same.
It's just an onion.
And we're not. Yes, it's different layers of blah, of sameness. So let's talk about all the different flavors and textures. And when we got this, you know that feeling when you're in the creative process, we just got this thrill. And we said, okay, what kind of chocolate are you? And she said, I think I'm white chocolate with mint. And I said, I'm dark chocolate with ginger, a little bit of bite because I challenge you, but I'm strong. And we were having so much fun. So yes, and now I've gone way off topic here.
Perfect.
But it's the finding of your way forward. And that's what this is about. You and I connecting to the audience out there, giving people the practical strategies so that they can find their voice and stand in their power.
I completely agree. You could not have said it better. The words are taken out of my mouth for once. My mother's probably watching and she's like, she's speechless.
Yes. Well, I don't want to take the words out of your mouth, because wisdom comes from so many different messengers. And that's the other thing. There is another perception problem among women, and it's among men too. It's not just among women, but someone else is working in a similar space, their competition. You know what? We all are impacted. How many times did your parents say, do this, do this, do this? And then someone separate said, do this. And you said, oh, and paid attention. It's all in the messenger. So one messenger says it this way, another messenger says it that way. And again, this was something in my TEDx talk. It's about the wisdom. And however the wisdom gets through whomever the wisdom comes through, does not matter. It's about the wisdom.
You're so right. And I had that struggle when I started, was that everyone's doing what I'm doing. But I quickly realized that my personality attracts different personalities. My way of being attracts different ways of being. I am quite a sharpshooter, and I can be like, I'm not really taking your bullshit. So, and some people like that style, and some people really don't like that style. And so, we've all got something to offer, and different people that we attract to help. And so there's no lack.
Well, I say, going back to the chocolate model, I'm not a fan of white chocolate with mint on the inside. I like my friend. But if you open up that box of fancy chocolates and you see all these different chocolates, the fear is, but someone won't pick me. And I say, okay, I'm not going to pick you because I don't like white chocolate with mint in the middle. That's not who you want anyway. You want the person who likes who you are. And I tell you what, every time that box of chocolates is open, I'm going for the dark with ginger every single time, and dark with red chili flake. So you got me for life. And that's, when I work with politicians, for example, they're looking for voters. And so they feel like they have to please everybody all the time. And they put that mask on and they cover who they are. And so one was accused of not having a sense of humor. And I said, I would go out and own that. He said, oh, my PR person has said I'm going to write jokes. I said, if you're not a joke teller, do not do this. Go out and say, yep, born without a funny bone. I own that. But what do you want? A politician who tells good jokes or writes good policy? And if you talk to me like that as a voter, you've got my vote.
Mm-hmm.
You are a straight shooter as a politician, and I like that, and I trust it. Going back to what we said at the beginning, I feel it. So the fear is they're not going to pick me, but the bottom line is, if you're wrapping yourself up in that gold wrapper so that no one can see your value, you're in danger of not being picked anyway. It's much better to be picked for who you authentically are.
Exactly. You set yourself up, if you decide to be something other than your authentic self, you set yourself up to fail, and you set yourself up to be this person who doesn't know themselves. And I've been through that. I'm sure you've been through that at some point when you're just like, what? And it's because we've decided to take on all these other things that we think should be done, or the way that we should be in the world.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and that goes back to being a TV anchor. Yes, I worked very hard, and I did stories that I believed in, and I enjoyed my role, and I was grateful for the opportunity to impact my community in the way that I was. But there came a time when I was introduced as Pallas, the TV anchor, that just, it seemed two-dimensional. And that's when I just realized, and I know people have these moments out there where someone's described them, or they've used words to describe them, which is what's called a personal brand. And they say, no, those aren't the words that describe me. And so it's helping turn the volume up on the parts of you that aren't getting through, and down on the parts of you that aren't. And I've been working with some solo moms who are trying to come off the benefit, and working with them to redo their LinkedIn profiles, building on what are your core talents, your passions, values, what's your life experience, and what soft skills have you developed, writing their LinkedIn profile, and then turning around and showing it to them. And it's just the most amazing thing, because they go, that's me.
Wow.
That's me. And then cry. And then I cry. And then we're just sitting in this room crying, because that's what I want for everybody. And you do too, is for people to say, wow, I can finally see my value, and I can be who I am, and be confident that that's enough, and I'm good enough. And that isn't, we don't do that enough. And not enough people do that.
Totally. And I think you're working in just the right place. New Zealand, I'm obviously from New Zealand, and we have this thing, you would have heard of it, tall poppy syndrome.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
We don't like to say what we're good at. In fact, we like to cut ourselves down, and we're like, I'm not that good at it, or I'm useless at it. That's a good one. So we need to get out of that.
Well, you're living in Australia now. We are in a globally connected world where people are not afraid to put it out there, what their talents, values, and passions are. And so Personal Brands was the name of the company that I had with my co-founder originally, and found tall poppy was a real problem. Oh, I don't want to be a brand. That's too slick. That's too American. That's too advertising-y. So I basically changed the name of the company when I took it over to POP, the power of passion, purpose, and personality. Much more effervescent, light, less confrontational, do exactly the same thing, right? But I also say to people, it's not about saying, oh, look at me, how great I am. This is what, this is why you should hire me. It is, I am passionate about, this is what I'm best at doing. How can I serve you? And it's about how you contribute to the world. And once people see it that way, reframe it that way, then they don't feel so tall poppy-ish about it. And I love addressing that. I'm on a mission to not just make people's lives pop, but to take on tall poppy.
Oh my gosh, you are an amazing woman. I'm with you.
Well, I'm glad you are. Not everybody's going to be so happy about it, but I do it with authenticity and with the best of intentions at heart, and I think people get that. So after this is my 7th year here, I think it's beginning to sink in, and I'm good. I'm on the right track.
You're on the right track. I can feel that.
Yeah.
So let's just see if anyone has any questions for us. Okay. I have so enjoyed talking to you, and actually I'm going to put out the question after we finish this. I'm going to write on the comments and see if anyone has their flavor of chocolate, because now I'm trying to figure out which one I am.
Yes, well, think about it, because it's fun to have a think. I have a friend who is very fiery, and so yes, obviously dark chocolate with the red hot chili flakes on the outside. but there's so many different, if you're really soft and sweet, you're probably all caramel, and milk chocolate on the outside. And there are different ways to do it. You can even come up with a recipe, say, but I still think chocolate, I believe in chocolate therapy, so I stick with the chocolate metaphor all the time.
I love the chocolate. I love the chocolate. I would say if I was a chocolate, the reason I'm talking a little bit more is because we are a little bit delayed with the Facebook feed when it comes in. So, but I love the chocolate metaphor because I feel like I'm probably really hard on the outside and there's a little layer to crack through. And then when you get in the middle, it's all very gooey. And
that's a new one. I have to think about what that is. It's not a fondant, but there's an outer shell that can be a bit crackly almost.
Yeah, sweet, but just hard to get through a little bit.
I love it. I love it. Now you've got me on a creative challenge here. I'm going to find the right chocolate.
Yay! So it doesn't look like anyone is. We have a couple of people watching us right now, and it doesn't look like any of you have any questions at the moment, but I want to open it up and just say that if you do have questions after this Facebook Live ends, then please write in the comments and you can either tag myself or Pallas in it and we'll get back to you and answer those questions as best as we can. But Pallas did have this wonderful giveaway for us and that was her video series. So Pallas, can you just tell us how my viewers can access that?
Absolutely. So if you go to popwithpallas.com, I'm calling this my Pop with Pallas project. That's how you sign up to get the videos. And the videos, they challenge, as I said, there's a little of that ginger in the chocolate. So they challenge you. They're downloadable PDFs to get you to answer questions that will help you identify who you are, what drives you, and what makes your life pop. So that's where you get started at popwithpallas.com. You can also just go to makeyourlifepop.com, which is my overall website, and find the page on there, the Pop with Pallas page. So yes, that's how you go about it. And I have an online Facebook tribe, and I'm starting up a mastermind mentorship online. So there are lots of different ways. You can contact me through there or by tagging me in this post, and we can chat about how we could work together to create this tribe of wise women, keep it growing.
That sounds great. And we'll pop all those links into the comments box so that you can access it really, really easily. But thank you so much, Pallas, for taking the time out in your evening to chat with me. I've really appreciated your wisdom.
I'm so grateful for the opportunity, honestly. Anytime I can I have. Now I'm losing the power of speech. It's a good thing I'm not news anchoring anymore. But yes, I appreciate all opportunities to share this message because it's not just a message. It is a mission, and I can feel your passion and energy. So I think that we together we create something larger than ourselves, and we'll see where this goes.
Sounds great. All right, we're going to sign off now, and I hope that you have found a lot of value from this interview that I've had with Pallas. If you really liked what happened today and you're really resonating with the message that Pallas has brought to you today, then please share this video with everyone that you think would benefit, because it is about spreading the love. It is about making sure that each and every one of us can reach our potential, and we would just love that from you if you were to do that. All right, see ya.